What's up and welcome back. I'm John Stark from MacTheMovieGuy.com, your favorite blind film critic, and today we're going to talk about East of Wall. Not west of door, but east of Wall. This is 2025 Sony Pictures Classics release, which was made available to me for my review consideration. I did get a screening for this. I didn't have to go to theaters. I know this was like the AMC secret screening, and I think some people, they go to those things like thinking they're going to get something kind of like surprising down the line. I think the fact that Jurassic World ended up being one of those has kind of changed the expectations, because I did see some reviews popping up online for people who went to that who were like, and then it ended up being this, and my life is over now. And I think there's something about indie dramas, because I don't know that East of Wall is necessarily for everyone. I think it's one of those films that has to build on word of mouth. But they did jump off of the fact that it did win the Sundance Festival Prize, the Audience Award at Sundance, not the jury prizes, from the snobby people like me. I don't consider myself snobby, whatever. The general public voted on this, and this was their favorite film. So, East of Wall is now, and I got audio description. They had to move a mountain for me, so thank you, Sony Pictures Classics, for working with me on that. It did take a hot minute, but it always seems to take a hot minute now. I'd rather wait for it than review the film without it. To be totally transparent, this film was going to get a rotten because it's really hard to watch without audio description. So it's a good thing that I got the audio description and was able to fully understand the movie. So let me know what you think of East of Wall in the comments. I'm going to jump into the review portion of the film, but I do want to hear from you. Are you excited for East of Wall? Have you seen it? Technically, my screener came in basically the same time this thing was in theaters, but that's neither here nor there. I appreciate it. East of Wall is, I think the reason why it caught fire simply is because of sort of fundamentally how it was created. The director spent some time in South Dakota just sort of absorbing the lives of these people and kind of making a film out of it, and asking just a whole bunch of regular people to play sort of like versions of themselves in kind of a story. So these people who already live in South Dakota, the only really notable actors here are Scoot McNairy and Jennifer Ehle. And of course they're both great, but I actually like the whole cast, which is kind of amazing that there's this much acting talent just in South Dakota, but they just walked up to random people. Because sometimes you get random people in movies, in low budget movies who are just playing like, the store clerk or whatever. And they're like, do you want to be in a movie? Because we don't want to pay an extra. We don't want to have to cast anybody. So we just cast locals. And like, they're people who clearly are not actors, and you can tell. That's not the case here. I actually think these women delivered some solid performances. So we have kind of a real life mother-daughter duo here. It's like generational. So the grandmother they brought in, and it's Jennifer Ehle, and she's, I guess, covered in like old age makeup because she's not quite as old as I think they play her. But then below that we have Portia and I'm going to say Tabitha. We're going to go with that. I'm not going to keep repeating the names over and over, but I think that's what their names were. And they live out on 3,000 acres of land. I remember that because it's a very specific plot point. I've seen this movie twice. And they sort of raise horses. That's their thing, is that they're horse people. They're horse whisperers. There's even, she's talking to one guy about this horse And, he seems to be kind of giving the horse to her to fix, or asking if she can work with him because the horse has been through something. And, she's, I guess, the go-to person for it, and that's what they're known for. She also kind of lends her property to be sort of a flop house for just the random youth of South Dakota that don't have homes. I'm still not 100% sure who and who is not related to this family, because there's just sort of like a bunch of kids around at all times. And I know there is sort of generational. I actually think Jennifer Elias is a great grandma, because I think the youngest girl does have a child of her own. The 3-year-old, I think I picked up on that, was hers. So I think the oldest one, Terry? Man, I'm bad with names, by the way. Heads up on that in case you haven't watched my reviews before. Not great with names. So, the sort of the patriarch of this family died a few years back, and they've been left to sort of be a whole bunch of women on this ranch raising, and I guess there's a little bit of financial trouble. The film hints at it a couple times. There's this one kid that is living there. He doesn't really have a legal guardian. His legal guardian is his dad, and he wants to, sort of stay there. So, they petition, but the court shuts him down. And then he just kind of ends up staying there anyway. There are a couple of things that don't always 100% make sense. So it's like wanting to give somebody a hug, and the difference between giving somebody that big bear hug that you want to give them and just giving somebody a hug, like being like, that was nice. I feel like I had that was nice. Like, it's a nice hug. Could have been bigger. Could have been. But, because he doesn't, I didn't really feel like there was a consequence to that whole court trial thing. It's just like, well, we're going to court. Cool, we're here. And same thing with the whole financial struggle. It's like it's mentioned, but it's not like there's somebody who's showing up on the daily, on the reg, who's like, if you don't pay me my money by tomorrow, I swear to God, on God's green earth, I'm gonna come for you and yours. I'm gonna burn this mother down. None of that. It's just they're just poor. I don't know. They're functionally poor. It would be nice to have more money, but they're not so poor that they're like, if we don't raise 100,000 in the next 2 hours, someone's gonna die. So it's not like the stakes are that high. So when Scoot McNairy's character kind of rolls in with an offer, you're like, I don't know, we haven't really reached this point yet. I feel like, I liked it. I still like the film, but I like the film because of the drama and the actresses, and really the ending. I liked the sort of the reveal of this sort of repetition of generational trauma that just keeps sort of cyclically happening in his family. And the reveal from 2 of the characters, and then the other characters listening in on the outside. And I think, I think that stuff was really good. And when you consider the fact that, again, these are not actresses. I mean, they are now because it's been in a movie, but they were just sort of in South Dakota. And so it was like, hey, I'm going to make a movie. You want to be in it? I want to make a movie around you. I think that's fascinating. There's some cool stuff and some horses. So, they were able to get actresses who could actually ride horses, which is a plus. They do some tricks on the horses, which is one of the reasons why I was really with the audio description. I did, my journey with East of the Wall was, I got the screener, and I watched it anyway, just in case, because I never know if I'm going to. My thing, I've actually started trying to send preemptive emails to studios in advance of the fall season to see if there's any way possible that we can connect now that I'm on the tomato meter. I just want to make sure I represent every film in the best possible way. I don't think that that's why. Why is it a bad thing? I got here because I like films. I'm not one of those, like, there are some angry critics on here. I could name some of them. They're like, every single film, they just like, it's a waste of my time. I don't know. Like, why are you still doing this? Like, why are you here? Yes, there are bad movies. I'm sorry, Hollywood. You do occasionally make bad films, and we need to talk about them. East of Wall is not one of those films. East of Wall is a film that could have made a couple different choices. It would have made it better. Probably would have put it in Best Picture race. Maybe it would have gotten itself a higher position at Sundance from the jury instead of the audience award. But it's artistic. I mean, it's an indie film through and through. It's getting in there and doing that that hard work of being able to find actors, sort of like creating something out of nothing, like a project. You know, they have all of these. If you, for anybody else who's involved in film, you know, you might, if you live in a big enough city, you probably have something like a 24-hour film festival where they challenge like a whole bunch of filmmakers to go make a film in under 24 hours, make like a short. And I think those kind of like sparks of imagination, they're what force people to make things differently, or to make things, figure out how to get through things with no budget, and how to make the best product with very little. And I think those kind of things lead to something like East of Wall, where you have a director who's boldly trying to figure out how to represent this community using their own people, and just like a variation on their story, and not like their actual lives. It's not a documentary that follows these people. They're clearly acting. I mean, the way that they're delivering their lines and everything is clearly acting. So she employs a lot of sort of recent, more Gen Z-ish techniques. Like, the kids are really good at TikTok, and they use TikTok to help sell these horses. So the kids bring something to the table. There are, if I could change three things about the film, one, I don't understand why we ever went to court. I really don't. I don't understand why we needed to go to court. We never made that, that was never a thing we threw down. Like, Jesse was just like, we're going. And she's like, well, if you live in my house, you're not going to, you're going to get your schoolwork done. You know, you're not, none of this repeating your junior year. And he's like, I know, that's why I want to live here. I guess he wants that kind of structure in his life. So there's that. It was never justified. Jesse's just there anyway. Or if it was justified, I don't know. I missed it. And I've seen this film twice, so I feel like the ramifications of it were just really low. There is one kid that gets to go back with their parents because something. I can't remember but dad moved in with a new woman or something like that. I don't know. And now there's a home for them. So one of the kids, it's a whole bunch of like temporary kids. I don't think she has custody for most, if not all. Well, I mean, some of them are hers, but so there's that. That's one. Number two is I needed more. I needed to know more about the kids. It just feels like there's a conglomerate of kids, and I was never really even sure how many there were. There's a lot of them, and it's great to have this story focus on the women, but this movie isn't that long, and the movie could have stood to add about 5 more minutes just to give each one of these kids like an individual personality, instead of, and also, like, why are we here? Why are these kids here? Who are you? What are you? Why are you here? I think that's interesting, is how do we get to this point? Because it's such a huge part of the movie that these women are raising these kids, but it's not the focus. The women are the focus. Horses are a bigger focus than the kids. The kids are just sort of like color in the story almost. So those are the two. And then the third thing is just because of the stakes with what Scoop McNairy is, uh, I, they just kind of feel like they're paycheck to paycheck. They don't feel like that they're so poor that, my God, the bank's going to take the farm. It doesn't feel like that. We didn't get that scene. We didn't get that moment. Um, and if you're going to do that, if you're going to have the film sort of hinge, because the film doesn't really have a conflict. That's, I think, what some is throwing a lot of critics off, is we're so used to having like an inciting incident and an actual conflict. There's like a rise and fall in the story. Like there's a peak and then it drops. And this one doesn't really have that in terms of your traditional story where there's like some big moment that changes everything. It's more about just the relationships with these women and how they exist in South Dakota. By the way, in case you're wondering, Wall is the name of a town. So it's clever, east of Wall, but it's just the name of the town. Anyway, so those are the three things, but those are not like deal breakers. Those are just like, why are you not on my top 10 list of the end of the year type of things. This film is a great example of how audio description makes a grand difference, because when I was watching the film, I got nothing about the horses. I had a really hard time following the women. There are a lot of reactions where one of the women is like sort of watching the other one. The ending has a much greater impact to it if you have audio description. There's so many scenes where I was like, oh my God, context. Oh Jesus, there's context here. The haircuts and everything, and it's just easier to follow. I actually got names for some characters. Luckily, we just, thank God, Media Access Group just put names on everybody instead of waiting for names to be said, because I don't think all of the names for all of the kids are said. So they're already sort of underdeveloped. If I had to hear like brown-haired boy and red pigtailed haired girl, I'd be like, fuck me. It just highlights the fact that they're more underdeveloped than they actually are. So it's got great audio description. I think it was Emily Hooks was the narrator, I believe. I think I got that right. I thought she was great in this, great for this project. That's why I also like to talk about the audio description. It takes a pretty good advantage of the Badlands, of the sort of the landscape, and being able to tell you sort of what this region looks like, and making you feel here. It's a slice of Americana, and summer's a weird release date for this, but I don't know where you would release it, because if you put it too close to award season, it's going to get crushed by all of the flashier Oscar buzz picks. So it's opening in August, I think, because it worked for Coda, which I think was also the Audience Award winner at Sundance. So if you're going to pick up any steam at all, August seems like the best time. Otherwise, you have to pretty much do it like immediately. Like, you have to do the thing that some Sundance films do, where they open like almost immediately after Sundance so that they can ride on the Sundance buzz. So you get some Sundance movies in like late spring, like April, late March, early April. But yeah, I think if you like indie movies, you should check out East of Wall. If you don't like indie movies and you just like things that blow up, this is not for you. So I think I don't know that the AMC secret screening necessarily helped them, but because I think a whole bunch of people who were used to seeing more mainstream movies in advance suddenly had to sit through this, and I don't think they're the type of people who are ready for this kind of a film in that place. So it's not quite as, like, Coda was like a sweet, charming, upbeat, feel good, cry fest of a whatever thing. It was a completely different, it was generally more accessible. This one, East of Wall, feels like I'd market it to the red states. But at the same time, it's female led, and there are a whole bunch of people who are like, I don't know about females. So I don't know, but yeah, it's this should have been airing commercials during like Yellowstone and whatever Taylor Sheridan's got going on right now. Uh, Parrot, what- whatever Taylor Sheridan's, I don't know what he's doing, but go for that audience because that's the audience that's going to most likely enjoy East of Wall. So he should have jumped on as executive producer. I mean, this is right up his alley. Uh, so yeah, East of Wall. I don't want to tell you how low it was, but it was pretty low. It was like in the threes, is what I was going to give it. Um, out of 10 before without audio description. So not great because I was writing off of dialogue, but I wasn't always sure who was talking and like where we were, what was happening. And any film that you have like this, where you put like a really large focus on an animal, they're nonverbal characters. So it immediately detracts from the film. I have another review sitting that I'm going to end up putting out later for the Penguin Lessons, which basically is that. It's like that film doesn't have audio description and there's a penguin. So, which is like the co-lead of that movie. So it just feels like Steve Coogan's talking to himself the whole time. So yeah, when you have horses being such a huge focus in the movie, without audio description, it's a mess. With audio description, it's like, oh, context. Look at that. It's beautiful. It's amazing. It's like a magic wand. Bippity boppity boo. East of Wall. You're getting a 7.8 out of 10. I liked East of Wall. Uh, so thanks for watching. Shout out to Sony Pictures Classics for giving me my accessibility, and hopefully we can continue this relationship, this symbiotic relationship. I can't promise you always get good reviews, but I did like East of Wall. It should not be the best picture of the year, but I did like East of Wall. Anyway, thanks for watching, thanks for subscribing, and I'll see you guys on the other side.